Ohio Governor Mike DeWine delays the execution of a man on death row for killing a Columbus man back in 1992.
3 years after he was convicted in the Short North robbery and murder of 51-year-old Richard Myers.
Would you rather have the injection or the electric chair?
I think that'd be suicide.
I asked Hennis if he would want his family at his execution.
Absolutely not.
Warren Hennis is still alive, 18 years after I met with him on death row. And capital punishment advocates were angry at the long appeals process that allowed prisoners like Hennis.
Crime and conviction. Warren Keith Hennis's crime is as chilling as it is tragic. Convicted for the robbery and brutal murder of Richard Myers, the details paint a harrowing picture of betrayal and violence. Hennis didn't just commit a crime, he shattered lives and destroyed families. It all began with a deceitful ploy. Under the guise of seeking substance abuse counseling, Hennis lured Myers into his web of deception. Myers, a kind-hearted individual volunteering his time to help others, unknowingly walked into a trap set by Hennis. The very person he sought to assist became his assailant. The events that followed are nothing short of horrifying. After luring Myers, Hennis kidnapped him, stripping him of his freedom and ultimately his life. In a cold and calculated act of violence, Hennis shot Myers 5 times in the head, extinguishing any chance of survival. But even that wasn't enough. He callously cut Myers' throat, adding further brutality to an already heinous crime.
Ohio Governor Mike DeWine delays the execution of a man on death row for killing a Columbus man back in 1992.
3 years after he was convicted in the Short North robbery and murder of 51-year-old Richard Myers.
But the horror didn't end there. In a final act of callousness, Hennis robbed Myers of his belongings. Myers' car, checkbook, and credit cards were not stolen for material gain, but to fuel Hennis's drug addiction. The very possessions that Myers worked hard for were now being used to feed the habits of his murderer. This crime isn't just about the loss of one life, it's about the ripple effect it has had on countless others. Myers' family and loved ones were left to grapple with the unimaginable pain of losing someone dear to them in such a senseless and violent manner. Hennis's actions didn't just rob Myers of his life, they robbed his family of their peace and shattered the community's sense of security. The conviction of Warren Keith Hennis serves as a reminder of the darkness that exists in the world and the importance of seeking justice for those whose lives have been unjustly taken. Legal proceedings and sentencing. The legal journey surrounding Warren Keith Hennis's case has been fraught with complexities and delays, reflecting broader issues within the criminal justice system. From multiple slaying dates to appeals and clemency petitions, each step has been met with legal hurdles and procedural challenges. Initially scheduled for January 12, 2022, Hennis's slaying was rescheduled to December 17, 2024. This postponement wasn't an isolated incident, but rather a symptom of ongoing legal problems stemming from previous slaying in Ohio. Concerns over the availability of lethal injection drugs and the constitutionality of slaying methods have plagued the state's capital punishment system, leading to repeated delays in reschedulings. Despite the legal uncertainties, Hennis's conviction and demise sentence have remained intact throughout numerous appeals. Each attempt to challenge the verdict or sentence has been met with legal resistance, underscoring the uphill battle faced by those seeking to overturn a demise sentence in Ohio. The latest setback came when the parole board unanimously declined Hennis's plea for clemency.
Could you be picking one death or the other? I consider that suicide. They'll have to make that decision, whoever kills me.
When we went to death row back in 1997, Ohio's electric chair was still ready for use.
Would you rather have the injection or the electric chair?
I think that'd be suicide.
This decision shifted the final say to Governor DeWine, who now holds the power to determine Hennis's fate. The parole board's decision reflects the gravity of the crime and the complexity surrounding Hennis's case, leaving the ultimate decision in the hands of the state's highest authority. Hennessy's legal proceedings highlight broader issues surrounding the demise penalty, including concerns over due process, fairness, and the integrity of the criminal justice system. Each delay and legal maneuver underscores the need for careful consideration and adherence to legal standards in cases involving capital punishment. As the legal saga continues, the eyes of the nation remain fixed on Ohio, where the fate of Warren Keith Hennes hangs in the balance. Whatever the outcome, his case serves as a stark reminder of the complexities and moral dilemmas inherent in the administration of justice, particularly when it comes to matters of life and demise. Case Review and Clemency. During the clemency proceedings for Warren Keith Hennes, glaring issues emerged regarding the adequacy of his defense representation and the credibility of the case against him. These revelations shed light on the challenges Hennes faced in receiving a fair trial and cast doubt on the reliability of his conviction. One of the most troubling aspects highlighted during the clemency proceedings was the woefully inadequate defense representation provided to Hennes. His defense lawyers were criticized for their minimal effort in investigating the case before trial. Key avenues of inquiry that could have potentially bolstered Hennessy's defense were left unexplored, leaving critical gaps in his legal representation. Additionally, the failure to hire mitigation specialists further compounded the deficiencies in his defense, depriving him of essential support in presenting mitigating factors that could have influenced the sentencing outcome. Hennessy's continued assertions of innocence further underscored the flaws in his defense and the broader legal system. Despite being convicted based largely on the testimonies of his co-defendants, Hennes steadfastly maintained his innocence, alleging failures and injustices within the legal process. The reliance on co-defendants' testimonies, particularly considering their own involvement in the crime and potential motives for implicating Hennes, raised significant doubts about the credibility of the evidence used to secure his conviction. The revelations surrounding Hennessy's defense representation and the credibility of the case against him highlight the urgent need for a thorough review of his conviction and sentence. The possibility of wrongful conviction and the denial of due process rights underscored the gravity of the situation and the imperative to ensure that justice is served. As Hennes continues to assert his innocence and seek clemency, it is essential that his case be subjected to rigorous scrutiny and that all avenues for potential legal recourse be explored. The stakes are too high to ignore the systemic failures and injustices that have marred his legal proceedings. Hennessy's case serves as a stark reminder of the imperative to uphold the principles of fairness, equity, and due process in the administration of justice. Personal background. Warren Keith Hennessy's personal background paints a poignant picture of adversity and struggle, shedding light on the factors that may have influenced his actions. Born into a chaotic childhood marked by instability, substance abuse, and neglect, Hennes faced numerous challenges from an early age. Growing up in an environment devoid of stability and nurturing, he was exposed to the corrosive effects of substance abuse, which only exacerbated his troubles. The early exposure to drugs and alcohol further compounded Hennessy's struggles, shaping his trajectory and fueling a cycle of addiction and despair. Without the guidance and support that many take for granted, Hennes found himself ensnared in a downward spiral, grappling with the demons of addiction and the tumultuous circumstances of his upbringing. However, amidst the darkness, there were glimpses of light. Despite the hardships he faced, Hennessy's journey has been punctuated by moments of resilience and redemption.
Mom, have her know that she's getting ready to face that.
Who would you want there? Anyone?
A priest?
I asked Hennes if he would want his family at his execution.
Absolutely not.
Testimonies from supporters paint a nuanced portrait of a man who, despite his past mistakes, has shown remarkable growth and introspection during his time behind bars. Accounts of Hennessy's demeanor and conduct while incarcerated speak volumes about his character and potential for rehabilitation. Descriptions of him as considerate and well-read by prominent citizens underscored the complexity of his identity and the depth of his humanity. Despite the weight of his past, Hinnis has strived to defy stereotypes and challenge perceptions, embodying the capacity for transformation and redemption. As Hinnis navigates the legal labyrinth and seeks clemency, his personal background and mitigating factors cast a sobering light on the complexities of his case. Public response and advocacy. Warren Keith Hinnis' case has ignited a firestorm of public response and advocacy, sparking intense debates over the fairness of his trial and the broader implications of the demise penalty system. In the face of mounting evidence of legal failures and potential miscarriages of justice, voices from all corners are calling for a reconsideration of his slaying.
Capital punishment advocates were angry at the long appeals process that allowed prisoners like Hinnis. Warren Hinnis is still alive, 18 years after I met with him on death row.
The public discourse surrounding Hinnis' case has laid bare the flaws and iniquities inherent in the demise penalty system. Advocacy groups and individuals alike have rallied behind Hinnis, urging Governor DeWine to review the case and seriously consider granting clemency. Their impassioned pleas underscore the urgency of addressing systemic flaws that jeopardize the integrity of the criminal justice system. At the heart of the debate lies the fundamental question of the appropriateness of the demise penalty itself. Hinnis' case has become a focal point for discussions on the effectiveness and morality of capital punishment. As his story unfolds, it serves as a sobering reminder of the irreversible consequences of state-sanctioned slaying and the need for a more nuanced and humane approach to criminal justice. Hinnis' case transcends individual circumstances, offering a sobering glimpse into the broader issues plaguing the criminal justice system. As advocates and activists continue to shine a spotlight on his plight, they're also shining a light on the systemic flaws that disproportionately impact marginalized communities and perpetuate cycles of violence and injustice. That's all for this video, folks. See you next time.